Welcome to Hit the Road with Mo and Joy. We're friends that met in kindergarten and we love to travel. Now we're sharing our experiences and inspiring you to explore. Whether you're traveling by sea, in a train, flying high, or road tripping, it's time to hit the road with Mo and Joy. Hello and welcome to Hit the Road with Mo and Joy. I am Joy.
And I'm Mo.
Hi Mo, how's it going?
Hi Joy. It's great to be back talking with you.
Yes. I heard that you have a friend that's over in Ireland right now experiencing the stuff we did. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. It was really cool. I'd actually forgotten that she was going. So she took the route that we had kind of first started with. She went to Scotland first.
Oh.
Yes. And now she's ending in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
It's been really cool for me to look at some of her pictures. I believe yesterday she was at the Giant's Causeway.
Oh.
Yes. And then I'd seen a couple things in Belfast. And I will say I did have a brief moment of, did we miss out on, remember how we had really wanted to go to the Dark Hedges?
Yes.
And it just didn't work out because we wound up having a little bit more leisurely of a morning that day. Mm-hmm. But yes, she had a couple cool pictures from the Dark Hedges.
Oh, cool. Is she there with her family or?
No, she's there with her boyfriend.
Awesome. Very
and
cool.
I think one or both of them have some Scottish and or English blood and possible family ties. So one of the things though I will say that was, I don't know, touching, I think is probably the word, especially, for those that are in the Blue family, the Scottish bagpipes are something that's really special. So I had seen one of her videos from Scotland where they had been walking around. She had done a couple of quick videos of just two random guys, older gentlemen who were out in the square playing the bagpipes.
When you hear the bagpipes, it's something that just grabs you by the heart and it grabs you by the body or something, and it just consumes you in a way. I don't know, especially now that I've learned to enjoy a bagpipe. It resonates.
It really does. And for us, it's very common, you automatically have a certain feeling of reverence. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times there could be a little bit of sadness because bagpipes signify that we've lost someone traditionally in the Blue or the Red family. So even when we have our get-togethers and when we have the time of remembrance, we have a wonderful bagpipe group at JFRD, Jacksonville Fire and Rescue Department. And they always attend our events and they play several songs. And it's our time where we raise a glass and we remember. So that's the first thing I thought about because she's actually part of the Blue family. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we are continuing our conversation about our Ireland road trip, and we are on days 7 and 8.
That's right.
Am I right? Okay.
Yes, very good.
Gut check. And where are we starting this conversation today?
Well, day 7 is where we left Enniskillen.
Yes, wonderful Enniskillen.
It was so sad to leave Enniskillen because we just loved that town so much. And I think you and I would both recommend Enniskillen to anyone who is planning a Ireland trip. And of course, the key factor is however it is that you're planning on having transportation. If you're brave and you're renting a car, then I would say, please don't miss Enniskillen.
Yes.
Right? So,
absolutely.
And now, now I'm trying to go back. I've got to double check. Actually, us leaving that morning, we left Northern Ireland.
Okay.
So this is going to be the end of the Northern Ireland section of our road trip. So what we wound up doing is we made the drive over to Carrick-on-Shannon, and we were planning to have brunch at the Honestly Farm Kitchen.
Yes.
That we had found, which turned out to be so great. And before we jump into that brunch, I will pause to have a funny, when we were coming around the roundabout, Mikey finally spied his first McDonald's.
All right, McDonald's.
So, he was super excited because he had the personal goal of, I just need to know, like, what's the different menu items at the McDonald's and in Ireland?
Uh-huh.
You know, at this point, I can't even remember, but I feel like he got just normal breakfasty stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of funny to watch him be excited about something that was easy to accomplish, but it was something for him. So we just compromised it out, and he walked over, got the McDonald's, and joined us over at Honestly. And, you know, Joy, what do you remember of Honestly? Because I really enjoyed that place.
Honestly, felt farm to kitchen. I don't know for sure that it was, but
Yeah.
it had this cool little farm shop next door. And that's the first thing that I headed to because I wanted to visit all the cheeses and the meats and the soaps and all the handmade items
Right.
over there. So that was a lot of fun. And then you start looking at the menu, and the menu had these things called BAPs on them.
Yes.
Tell us about a BAP.
Well, you and Alex both had a different variation of the BAP. I think you guys got different meats. Or at least, I can't really remember, but I guess BAP is referring specifically to the bread. You're going to have to gut check me here, but I feel like the BAP was something that was originated in Belfast.
I think so, yeah.
And it's real fluffy on the top portion. So think of kind of like a super crafty bun as an example, right? So there's the top part and there's the bottom part. And the top part's kind of like fluffy, like a top hat or a chef's hat to a degree. And then you pick like your meat and your cheese or whatever. And I think there's a little bit of veggies in there, but there were no complaints for that. I went out and did something really boring and got the pancakes, but they were really good. And you know, I had a note in my journal that we really got into the spirit of having the leisurely brunch and just sitting around and talking, reflecting on the trip that we had had thus far, and then kind of starting to look forward to, I guess, Ireland proper. So leaving Northern Ireland and wondering, you know, would our experience be that much more different as we are starting to go south and then obviously eventually wind our way counterclockwise up back to Dublin.
Mm-hmm. So we enjoyed our breakfast, and then within walking distance, there was a whole shopping center. So there was a sports store in one area, and then there was a grocery store. But of course, we had to go into the sports store because we had to check labels and see what was in there besides baseball bats and things. And we did see cricket bats.
Dang, I don't remember that. Well, you know, the key thing that they were searching for was the hope of being able to find a Florida State jersey that had been tied to that college football game that was played over in Dublin back in 2024. So I believe it was Florida State and Georgia Tech. I'm sure someone will correct me if I was off, but I feel fairly certain that those were the two teams. You know, sadly for the boys, even though they attempted multiple times, especially in Dublin, we were never able to find any merchandise related to that game.
They were done.
Yeah, they were done, but we did try. And so, Yeah, if there's anyone listening, I know several people that did go over for the game, and you were able to get any cool memorabilia. We'd love to see the pictures. So,
Yeah.
Joy, have you ever seen a laundrette in front of a grocery store?
I have.
Yeah, I almost got you.
So the laundrette was literally just 3 different sized washing machines right in front of the grocery store. And there was the little one and the medium one, and then this huge one that I guess would take maybe 2 comforters. I don't know, but it was massive. It was commercial sized, and it was pretty cool. And had we been smart, we would have washed our clothes there while we were honestly having brunch.
Yeah.
But we didn't know. But now we know.
Now we know. So what did we do at the grocery store? We looked at labels.
We did look at labels.
Yes, we absolutely looked at some more labels, and we're trying to really just get our own feel to see if products were that much cleaner over there. And sadly, they are. Yes, sadly they are. But that one happened to be, I think, probably the largest grocery store.
Yes.
Out of all the ones in the much smaller towns. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to take a minute to talk about walking around a foreign grocery store.
Okay.
And, you know, when most people think of travel, they think of famous landmarks or bustling shopping center for fine items or glass. They think of cozy cafes. But one of my favorite ways to experience a new culture, you know, be it domestic or international, is to just visit a local grocery store. And it may seem mundane or unnecessary, but it's actually quite interesting. And it's like this little cultural gem that's hidden in plain sight, in that it'll give you a snapshot of daily life in that area. You know, the brands, the packaging, or even the store layout can tell you about what the locals value, what they eat, and what they celebrate. We walked in and they had all the breads and the croissants and the cookies out. They were fresh baked and in the open air, not covered up in plastic or anything. So that was a little weird, but
yes,
awesome at the same time.
It was weird just seeing the food just out. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you think about it, and now you're seeing more products here where it's the, you know, cloth, beeswax lined whatevers, and stop putting your bread in plastic because it promotes the mold or whatever. And now this stuff was just out in the actual grocery store, and it kind of makes you pause, right?
Yes. But then the other thing with the grocery store is you'll go up and down the aisle and you'll find all these different flavors and combinations that you've never expected.
Yes.
I recall a lavender yogurt that looked really interesting. I'm a huge fan of Cadbury chocolate, and they had all these different varieties.
Agreed.
And it's fun to see their chips. There was a shamrock and onion chip. I mean, what does a shamrock taste like? And I didn't even know that you could eat them.
Yes, but you got us some chips and we ate them, and it was really delicious. I would describe it as kind of chivy.
Yes.
It was good.
Just all this stuff that you don't get domestically and that you get to try.
I agree with that.
And the other thing is checking out, like we talked about a little bit earlier, is checking the back of the packages, comparing the ingredients of similar products that we have here in the States. Mm-hmm. We looked at the back of the Oreo, and there are a lot less ingredients and a lot less things that you can't pronounce.
For sure.
You know, that's a whole nother episode, but just saying. It's a great place to get small souvenirs like snacks, spices, teas.
Yes.
It makes affordable, authentic gifts. It's a great place to observe the locals, their shopping habits, and what they can teach you about their daily life.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed is the locals weren't filling their carts up to the brim. It seemed like they were getting that day's provisions and maybe the next day's, but not piles and piles of stuff that they were stockpiling or collecting.
That's a great observation. I don't recall that distinctly, but That definitely is a methodology.
Yes. And if you're calm and if you're not in a rushed lifestyle like we are, because we're going to the Costco's or the clubs or whatever, because we want to get all that we can all we get so that we don't have to go back. And I don't know, it just speaks to the pace of life, I think.
Great observation.
But yeah, if you've never done it, the next time you travel, skip a tourist attraction and just spend an hour wandering the aisles.
I think that is a fantastic recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm a little jealous that I didn't think of it myself, but thinking about the ways that you've described it and all the benefits, I don't know that I've necessarily spent a lot of time going to grocery stores in the past. I think for us in past travels, if we were more in a countryside type atmosphere or general store.
Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, Piggly Wiggly. Or even the places that still have the general stores.
Yeah.
Okay, now, of course, Alex makes us go to every single one of those. Yes. And he wants to talk to all the people.
Oh, right.
So I would say, I think from that perspective, we do have the mindset that you just discussed. But the way that you just presented it gave me a little bit of a fresh perspective. So I'm going to take that challenge. I think that's great.
Yep. So where do we go next?
Well, on the way to Adare, we had planned to stop at Limerick. But again, because of our slower morning, we wound up missing the milk market, which we had scheduled specifically for our Limerick visit. I think maybe in some ways we carried a little bit of the disappointment because that was something we really wanted to do, and we literally missed it by just a handful of minutes. But apparently the market is very
timely.
Yes, thank you for that. But we did walk around Limerick, got a pretty good feel for the town. It felt kind of more up and coming. There were a lot of industrial looking brewery type places. There was a nice waterfront to the area, some cool looking structures. We really didn't stay super long, and we did not eat or do any of those activities in Limerick. We literally just walked and explored. I would have liked for us to have had that opportunity, but I feel like we just kind of took it all in stride because the goal isn't always to do everything on the list. The list is kind of a guide. Part of road tripping, as we've talked about so many times, is just having the flexibility, and you want a good balance of doing the things, but also having the downtime or making changes on the fly, so to speak.
Yes. Freestyle.
Yes, that's your word. So after Limerick, we headed over to Adare, and I believe that was a really pretty town. It felt kind of like a coastal vibe, and one of the things in particular that I enjoyed, I don't recall noticing it before Adare, but the little cute houses with the thatched roofs.
Yes, it was a different architectural area, and it started looking more like what I had expected Ireland to look like, if you will.
I agree with that. As
far as like a home residential type area.
Yes.
And just beautiful. And those thatched roofs, like you say, just totally unique and something you don't really see stateside.
I definitely agree with that. So we stayed overnight in Adare at the country house, And it was a traditional bed and breakfast. Mm-hmm. It had an interesting layout. I've stayed at a number of traditional bed and breakfasts over the years. I will caveat that by saying in the U.S. Mm-hmm. But I think this was our second and last traditional bed and breakfast on this trip. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay. I would say that the two traditional bed and breakfasts that we stayed at were very different experiences. I would say that the structural layouts of each one was very, very different. Even the breakfast itself was very, very different. So it was great to have the different experiences. I'd like to pause for a moment and remind you, Joy, of that old school room key that we had. You loved that.
Not so much. So it's a long key with like one tooth at the end of it, and you
metal
stick it in and you turn it and it doesn't unlock the door. So you have to stand on your head, stick your tongue out, twist 3 times in an opposite direction, and maybe it'll open, and maybe you won't pee all over yourself before you can get the door unlocked.
We have a picture of this room key that we will share on the blog. I had to take it. Honestly, in general, I probably would have taken it just because you don't really get to experience traditional keys anymore. Even just the old school regular, the old keys that you used to open a door
skeleton
with
key.
in the U.S. No, just even like the regular ones, or like the old school cars that used to have keys before all the,
fobs.
It just felt very nostalgic to see it. But I was actually really surprised that you were not friendly with the key. That made me laugh. I think the experience that really jumped out to me about staying at the country house is that it afforded us the opportunity to walk everywhere that we wanted to go.
Yep.
So there was no driving required. It was very, very convenient to park the car in the parking lot at the traditional bed and breakfast.
Yes, and give the driver a break.
Yes.
It's very important.
It definitely is, because the drives can be very trying. Some days were more so than others. Unload the car, get the things. I remember that this bed and breakfast in particular, the owners have a great love of art. So I remember enjoying and taking the time to look at a lot of the pieces of art that they had all throughout the home. And they had long hallways that were a part of the structure of this house where some of the rooms were located. So there was a lot of wall space for them to put up their art collection. So that was very enjoyable to me. Mm-hmm. We walked the town, and before dinner, we wound up coming upon a Trinitarian Monastery.
No.
Monastery?
Yes.
Damn, why do I do that every time? I've been having a real issue with that word lately, and I don't feel like I struggled with it previously.
No, you haven't.
Maybe it's just that I wrote it incorrectly in my journal. But it was a beautiful and very, as always, historical building. It was very peaceful, I would say. I had a note in my journal about there were certain, I would say, church structures that we entered where you could almost feel. And I had a note about this one in particular. Highly recommend, if you go to Adare, to walk the monastery.
Yes, and they have it open for you so that you can go in and visit respectfully.
Yeah, that's right. Keyword, respectfully.
Yes.
And I also had a note here about the local park. It was beautiful. I distinctly recall a weeping willow.
Yes.
That was situated.
And all the flowers were so happy, and it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful day.
It was. They had great benches. There were a bunch of people that were out and about, sitting in the benches and walking around inside the park. So to me, that was just another reminder to kind of stop and smell the roses, so to speak, but to take your time and to enjoy. I mean, I can't remember the last time where I live that I've taken the time to go to a park.
Yeah. And just enjoy it and just sit and be quiet and reflective.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really goes back to some of the things we've talked about with the pace of life there and the culture. That has really been something that has stood out to me. And I feel like with us going around to some of these smaller towns and having the time to just be out and about and experience it, it just makes for a completely different trip.
Yep.
An experience.
And be able to observe people. Yep.
Yeah, so we had our first Irish stew for dinner.
Irish stew from Happy Cows. It's the best.
Yes, so the night of day 7, we decided on Pat Collins Bar for dinner. And as we were checking out the sign at the front, a lady came out and was like, hey, you got to try the Irish stew. It's the best, and they don't always have it on special.
Was she an Irish lady? Do you recall?
No. I don't.
I don't recall either.
So we wound up having Irish stew all around with the brown bread.
Yes, and it was yummy.
Yeah, and I had a note, even though you didn't remember, but you talked me into ordering a strawberry lime cider to go with my dinner.
It was an excellent recommendation, wasn't it?
It was excellent, and I was so hesitant to do it because a lot of times, people are like, oh, taste this cider. It doesn't taste anything like beer or whatever, and all I taste is just like beer. But this actually, for once, you could really enjoy the strawberry and the lime. I didn't pick up on any beer vibes. Sorry for all the beer lovers. In fact, am not one of them, but that strawberry lime cider. And I believe for a little bit further on in the trip, I can't recall off the top of my mind, but we had stopped somewhere and had lunch, and they had the same brand. And I got it again because I loved it so much.
Oh, very good.
So, yes, I would call that out. So after dinner, we did some more walking.
Yes. I don't remember where we walked. Where did we walk?
Well, we attempted, according to the journal, to find ice cream and really, really, really struggled to make that happen. But we did wind up finding some ice cream in a grocery store. The other thing that I had was the boys, when we got back to the traditional bed and breakfast, wanted to go back to their room and watch TV and chillax. And you and I actually took the opportunity to sit out front. They had old school white wrought iron furniture.
Hard for the bum, but good for the back.
Yes, so it was like the full table and the wrought iron chairs. We sat out there with some of our notes and notebook and did some planning for and touching up on next steps for the trip.
So we spent a good night there, got a good night's sleep. We had a great breakfast in the morning. Like you said, both of the bed and breakfasts that we stayed at had some age on them and had some patina. But this one had aged a little bit better and had more modern influences to them, both in decor and just utilitarian. The breakfast was a lot better at this one.
Yeah.
And it was laid out in such a way that you got an opportunity to try some of the local. I remember some salmon and a couple of different things on the buffet, but it was just a more pleasant experience than the other one that we had gone to that we didn't wind up mentioning at all on the other podcast because we like to be nice and be quiet.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll just add to that. I was amused that one of the fellow guests there had showed up to breakfast in full pajamas.
Oh, fantastic.
And I had full view of him. So
Classy.
He was very relaxed. And I was like, wow, like I'm probably one of the definitely more relaxed people in terms of how I dress and whatever. I'm pretty basic, but yes, this guy had me beat because I did not show up in my jammies. But one of the things I think this breakfast in particular has influenced mine and Alex's breakfast back home even to this day. So we're, I don't know, like a year and a quarter later. And we have developed really probably about 5 days a week. We do our boiled eggs. We do our English breakfast tea with cream. And we do an Icelandic yogurt with a tiny bit of granola and usually some blueberries. So that was a very influential breakfast. And I distinctly recall you and I staying behind. The boys wanted to go have some time in the room and pack up. We stayed there for probably another, 20, 30 minutes, just enjoying our tea. And we chatted and just enjoyed the space.
Yep.
It was, again, just, I can't emphasize enough that the trip was such a full trip, but we had, I swear, I just feel like on this trip, there were so many more opportunities to just be leisurely. I just think coming from our culture and the life that we live, that is huge.
And at the time, you were full bore into a corporate job that was challenging.
Yeah.
And Alex was working on his business and y'all were tired. And so that leisurely pace made such a bigger impact on you at that time.
It really did. I mean, that's still one of the key things that I think about when I reflect on this trip. There were so many elements to it, but I think the highlight was the leisurely trip, the additional bonds that we all got to form and our relationships, and having Mikey join and have his first international trip, and he experienced that, with us. It was just very special in so many ways.
That he will never forget.
He better not. All right, so that takes us into day 8 as we were talking about that enjoyable breakfast and the buffet. We were heading out to Killarney, and this was a very big day for us. I would say very much more physical and jam-packed. We did have a quick little adventure as we were leaving Adare. We had filled out some postcards and already had our stamps, and it was an adventure to find the post.
As it always is.
Yes. So Killarney.
I really liked Killarney, and some of my favorite pictures are from this stop.
For sure.
We went into the town first, and I believe we got some munchies from it.
Oh, did we?
We stopped at the Manna Cafe and Bistro.
Yes.
And that was a delicious stop.
Oh my gosh. So delicious.
What did you have?
So you and I actually ordered the same meals, baked goat cheese salad Alex had a chicken burger, and I was like, what? But she talked him into trying the chicken burger. It was fantastic and not weird or anything like that. And Mikey branched out and took her suggestion and had the loaded barbecue potatoes, which I would kind of liken to what we know as a poutine.
Yep.
And he was like, oh my gosh.
He tore it up.
He did tear it up.
Nothing left.
I think because the way that this cafe is oriented, you know, they had great coffees, they had hot teas in addition to other things. So a couple of us got some nice chai lattes, and you had gotten a traditional latte that you love. So this is also a great stop. If you're not wanting a full meal, you can definitely go in and enjoy a coffee or a chai latte and maybe like a pastry. Or they also make some incredible desserts in-house. And I will say that she talked us in. So the four of us shared, so basically like 2 bites apiece, something that we would normally not. They had just made a very, very light and fluffy cheesecake that had a slight hint of mint, which is not something that we would typically go for, but it wound up just being incredible. So just another reminder, it can be really rewarding to try things that you might not always be open to.
Right. Get outside your comfort zone and try the mint.
Absolutely.
Because I would never order that.
Me neither, but with me being such a baker and dessert snob myself, you know, I look for certain things, and me personally, which is funny because, you know, my Italian husband and his love for cheesecakes, and my son also loves cheesecakes. Cheesecakes are like the bottom of my
Me too.
selection. Like, I just find most of them to be very heavy, stick to the roof of my mouth. They make me thirsty.
A little boring.
Please don't send me hate mails on, you know,
Or recipes.
the revelations
maybe a recipe.
of cheesecake. It's just not my favorite, but it is one of my husband's, I think, top favorites.
Huh.
But I'm telling you, this light, fluffy cheesecake with a hint of mint was incredible, and I would have definitely missed out had we not taken the recommendation. So
once we were fed,
yeah,
we headed towards the national park.
the physical stuff.
Yes, because why not get a full belly and then go do a hike?
Well, I think we wound up valuing the energy,
Yes.
right? That it gave us.
Right. And we did do salads with cheese, so that wasn't that heavy of a meal.
Yeah, true. We, I think, wound up going to the waterfall first. Torc, I believe, is the correct pronunciation. Torc.
Yep.
The words that I put down in my journal were lots of steps, a false comfort followed by a big thud, and some shaky knees. However, it was great exercise and beautiful.
It was. And I would like to pull out my soapbox here for just a minute.
Okay.
And like part of me thinks that maybe we should be doing Road to Health with Mo and Joy podcast. No. I'm not signing up for another podcast.
Definitely not.
But, you know, last April after I had an illness and because I was having some trouble painting my house, I decided that it was time to get in shape. And I joined a gym, and this was about 3 months or so before the trip. But I'm so glad that I had an opportunity and that head start, because at that Torc Waterfall, the path that we took was no joke. And there were a lot of steps and uphills, and this Florida girl that is used to flat land would have not been ready. And I'm so glad that I had taken some time in the gym doing the treadmill, you know, on an incline, doing the stair stepper, getting in the sauna just to toughen myself up to the heat. even. All of that, you know, I was going to be traveling with you guys who are already in good shape, and then traveling with Mikey, who is a proper athlete. I wanted to be able to at least keep up with you guys. And again, I was so happy to have been able to keep up and to go be able to see that the beauty of that waterfall and not have to sit it out in the parking lot. That is my public service announcement. Get in shape, y'all, before you go on a trip.
So we're sitting here talking. I've known each other for so long, and I'm going to say that number one, I feel like I was probably at my least fit at this time. So you were probably a little bit more well-positioned than I was. I've now been able to come much further. So I was kind of in a break in my fitness life at that time for a variety of reasons.
But the work going up into that,
yeah,
you had.
Yeah. So I agree to be fit, but I laugh because we apparently unknowingly took the extended version difficult hike to the dang waterfall.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think we actually have a picture for the blog, and this is bad to go from memory, but I feel like there were certain areas of the steps that were actually like slate or stone.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. And so, you know, like when you're just going step after step after step, it does get a little bit, you know, shaky in the knee, and there was definitely some steep incline. But what was so funny is we finally get to the waterfall and we enjoy all the things, and then we're coming back. And we were all just kind of like laughing about our hike itself, and this little small family, like a guy, a girl, and this young boy. Well, the little boy like overhears me talking, and he turns back. I remember he looked at me. He's just like, "What are you talking about? We just parked." And he turns and he points. It only took us 5 minutes to walk up here. And I was just like, But what I'm going to say is I have no regrets about the strenuous path we took. It was a bit unexpected. If you have any physical impairments, or you're just not in a place where you're interested in about, what was it, like 40 minutes or so?
Yep.
Then please don't be like us. Please be educated by us and know that there is a
easier path,
5-minute path. But the forest itself, I just remember all the green.
Yeah.
And I think I snagged a couple pictures of Alex, like looking out in certain little breaks where you could kind of see quite a distance. But it was a beautiful forest.
Yes.
And that's definitely the word for it.
Curated beautifully, and you got to see a lot of things.
So green.
Yes. And then we headed towards one of your bucket list items, which was the Muckcross Abbey.
Yes.
And why was it a bucket list item for you?
Well, I had a very close friend who is also a photographer. He goes to different countries from time to time, as well as doing a lot here, obviously stateside. And he goes with these photography groups, and they have different locations and different models of all kinds. And they do shoots, and they work on their photography and build new skill sets, all at different times of the day with different lighting and whatever. And so I already had this mystical, romanticized, you know, picture built up in my mind of this abbey because of Dave's pictures. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I already had the vision. And all I can say is that not only did it meet my vision, it exceeded my vision. I don't know that I realized ahead of time that the actual Abbey ruins were surrounded by the cemetery. That didn't ring a bell to me, but the cemetery itself was also super full of history. It was well maintained and cared for. You could tell. So depending on the lighting, like there were some really interesting shots that you could get of just the cemetery itself and certain actual plots. But the Abbey was, oh my gosh, it just clicked all the buttons. And then that yew tree, Joy.
Yes, there was this humongous yew tree in the middle of one of the rooms, I'll call it, that did not have a roof on it. And the gnarled and the twisty and the unique yew tree was really fun to look at from different angles. And there were a lot of cool shots that we were able to get of that too.
I agree. I think there's some for the blog. And, you know, just as a side note, not you like Y-O-U, you like Y-E-W. Just saying. Because I'm thinking, what if someone's listening to this and they're like, a yew tree? Like, that's just weird, but yes.
And not E-W-E.
Right.
And not you.
Correct.
Like
But
the letter.
Y-E-W.
Yes, another you.
Correct. So I just wanted to throw out, I had here in my journal, which y'all know I keep referencing a journal, and I'm telling y'all, there's some real benefit. Not only can you reflect yourself, but it's something nice for, you know, your family to have when you're no longer here. But in terms of Muckcross Abbey, all of us but Mikey participated in words that came to mind from our visit. Alex described the visit as ancient, mesmerizing, and Gothic. Joy said dramatic yew tree, haunting and shadowy. And I described it as picturesque, cool angles, old stones, and cool air. Because actually the air itself, the temperature, was much cooler inside this abbey, which is kind of interesting because there are definitely portions of it that are open.
Yes.
So it's not like it's just fully closed in.
But it's like the stone collected the cool air or something.
Yes. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, and it had all these different rooms and different alcoves and different places to hide if you were a kid.
That's right. And, you know, that reminds me. So I think we talked about it when we first arrived. You know, we stayed in that country farmhouse those first 2 nights. How Mikey, because he's taller, had to watch the door frames and whatnot. And as soon as you said that with the different rooms for the Muckcross Abbey, there were, Mikey had to really watch the heights of the entrance.
Yeah, he rung his bell a couple of times.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Stone is not a place that you want to ding your noggin, for sure. So I would just say overall, and Joy, I'm sure you would agree, Killarney is absolutely fantastic, especially if you're a nature lover and you like to get out and do some of the physical. There's a lot of opportunity for that in the Killarney National Forest. There's actually an old historic home there. We did not take the tour of the home, but we did walk the grounds briefly, and I did get to enjoy the gardens and the multitude of flowers that were there. Of course, I took some selfies with some of the taller flowers. You know, I wouldn't miss that. And I feel like off to the side, we actually saw like a couple of deer laying on the wood line.
Yes, we were able to see nature happening in real time.
Highly, highly recommend Killarney. Not only from the walking the town and the shopping perspective, but just to be able to enjoy that national forest and all that it has to offer. I would say do not miss Killarney.
Agreed.
All right. So after we were done, we did have a full day there. It was wonderful. We drove to the Ballyhalwick country house, and I had notes that this was by far the most harrowing, with the most narrow roads for the longest distance of our driving commute. The roads were just terribly, terribly narrow. And I was very thankful to be banished to the back seat, which is where I lived the entirety of the trip. But we did make it. And after we kind of got initially settled, we were hungry. We got to enjoy briefly the town of Clonakilty. Mm-hmm. So what do you remember from that? It was dark. I know that.
Well, I want to back up for a second and talk about the driving situation. And I'm not positive that it happened on this leg of the trip.
Okay.
Your husband did a great job driving.
I agree.
And you would kind of have to tell him within the first 5 minutes to correct himself, because he would go back kind of to Americanized driving. But after you corrected him the first time, he remembered it for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And there was this one intersection that we would get to, and we had to go through it maybe 2 or 3 times.
Oh my God, I know where you're going with this.
And he would always, there must have been some kind of optical illusion happening in that intersection, or the twist or the turn or the roundabout was messing with his head. And so he would take it and kind of get over into the other person's lane. And he had done this twice already. Well, this third time that it was happening, somebody started fussing at him.
Oh, yeah.
And
he got the F word.
Yeah, a couple of times. And Alex is a manly man and he wants to respond. But he couldn't figure out how to roll down the window. So he gave the finger to the man, the pointy finger,
the index finger.
The one moment
yes,
finger.
Please hold, not the middle finger.
But it was, please hold so that I can figure out how to roll this window down so that I can talk back to you. And by the time he had figured that out, the man had gone on and gone about his day and everything.
Oh my gosh.
But that was one of my funnest memories.
We laughed about that for days. We have told that story so many times. It's one of those, I guess you had to be there, but I swear it was really probably our funniest driving story of the whole trip.
But back to today, what we did in Ballyhalwick was one of the first things we did was go to Casey's Pub.
Yes.
And that's where some of my favorite pictures from the trip happened.
Oh, really?
Because it was like the traditional pub, and yeah, I've got a picture of you, and then the guys are behind you through like one of the half doors, and they're sitting at the bar, and you've got a pensive look on your face.
I don't remember that
and
picture.
It's so fun. Yeah. But that area downtown, there were several ones to pick from. Mm-hmm. They had the cool doors. They had the traditional look to everything. I enjoyed that pub a lot.
I remember the younger guy that was doing the live music, and it was a lot of American music, but I had a note that Mikey got a kick out of the surprise song of the night was Stacy's Mom. Oh. So I took a couple of brief, very, very brief videos of Mikey singing along. It made us laugh because one of the guys previously that he used to play ball with, that was his walk-up song for a while.
Oh, wow.
And it was just kind of funny, like the whole thing all the way. But yeah, we got home a little bit late and we were tired, but for whatever ungodly reason, probably just because of timing and likely necessity, wrestled with that daggum combo tiny washer and dryer, and I had taken down a couple of words to describe that experience: annoying, aggravating, counterintuitive, and inconvenient. And that is how we ended day 8.
Yes. And we thought that we were going to download the instructions and thought that we were going to whip it, but no,
it whipped us.
The all-in-ones, do not recommend, and they should not build them anymore, period. Done.
I'm good with that.
Well, once again, Mo, it has been fun walking down memory lane with you. And next episode, we're going to be going over days 9 and 10.
Yeah.
And I look forward to rejoining you and telling our friends all about it.
Me too. And just as a quickie preview, we will talk about Dunman Way, the Galley Head Lighthouse and the surprise that we had there, Kinsale, Kilkenny, Knockbodley Heights Airbnb, and then that daggum long town name that we've already looked up a couple times and listened to the way to pronounce, but I'm still not there. So I'm not going to try.
I'm not either.
Can you? Oh, you look like you were going to try.
I was going to try, but...
Do it.
Krungabonga.
Okay, that's closer than I would have gotten, but that kind of gives you a preview for what we will talk about for days 9 and 10. So
Yes.
Until then, cheers.
Cheers, guys. Don't forget, get out there and explore.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Hit the Road with Mo and Joy. If you have questions or topic suggestions, we would love to hear from you. You can connect with us through our website at hittheroadwithmoandjoy.com. On the website, you'll find all the things: socials, blogs, recommendations, inspiration, and things you might need to know for upcoming travel. And if you'd like to partner or advertise with us and connect with our amazing audience across the country, feel free to reach out to us at hittheroadwithmoandjoy.com/media. That's it from us this week, but don't forget, get out there and explore.